Qurupeco is without a doubt the most creative monster in Monster Hunter. Let me explain why. Now, I know this is a bold statement, but out of the hundreds of monsters in the Monster Hunter series, I've never seen one do anything remotely similar to what the Qurupeco does. Well, at least in the main series anyway. Now, what makes the Qurupeco so special is of course its main gimmick, but there are other things that make the Qurupeco really stand out. But before I get into those, let's talk about the Qurupeco's main gimmick, being able to summon other monsters. For those who don't know, Qurupeco is a monster that was introduced in the 3rd generation of Monster Hunter, specifically Monster Hunter 3. Now, I'm not going to be talking about its role in Monster Hunter 3, considering that I haven't played that game. However, I will be focusing on its role in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, since I do have quite a bit of knowledge about it. In that game, it is one of the earlier monsters introduced to the player during low rank. In fact, it's the player's first real challenge of low rank. It's the first monster to use an elemental attack being fire, which is something that will do a good amount of damage to you if you're using the Jaggy armor set like a majority of the people do at this point in the game. So you'll have to be more careful when fighting it. Already the Qurupeco is a force to reckon with, but what makes the Qurupeco a real threat isn't the fact that it's necessarily hard to kill or that its attacks do a lot of damage. It's the fact that it's able to summon other monsters to help it out. This is especially bad when you're just starting out the game, considering that it's able to summon monsters that are way stronger than you, and will definitely kill you with ease. Even if you are really powerful, having multiple monsters in an area can be quite hectic and can cause you to die. And to make things even worse, it's able to give itself buffs as well as the other monsters that it summons. Now you might be wondering, what monsters can the Qurupeco summon? Well, it's able to summon Ludroths, Melixes, Jaggies, Rhinoplazas, a Great Jaggy, a Royal Ludroth, a Raytheon, a Rathalos, an Azoros, a Diablos, and if you're fighting it in high rank, it's able to summon the infamous Deviljho. Now these summons change depending on where you're fighting the Qurupeco, which makes quite a bit of sense when you think about it. Now, how is this creative, you may be asking? Well, there's been no monster in the series to be able to summon a variety of different monsters, as well as being able to use buffs on itself and other monsters, much like a hunter does. And yes, I am aware that other monsters like Zinogre can buff themselves, but they can't buff other monsters, whereas players can buff themselves and others. Also, its moveset is one of the most bizarre and quirky ones that I've ever seen in Monster Hunter, even rivaling the Pukey-Pukey's moveset. I mean, just look at some of these attacks. While we're talking about its moveset, let's focus on its animations. First of all, the way that the Qurupeco moves looks quick and spastic. I don't know if this is just me or not, but it almost looks like it doesn't know how much power it really has. I mean, just look at when it claps its wings together. I think it's genuinely surprised by its own power. After doing this 2 or 3 times, it will stop in its tracks, which is something that not only makes it feel more polished and adds some, and I say this lightly, realism to its movements, but also gives a player an opening to attack it, which if this was intentional, then this is really good game design. On another note, it also stands out because of its beautiful design and coloration. I mean, have you ever seen a more colorful monster than the Qurupeco? Because I certainly haven't. And this is one of the only designs that I've seen that looks somewhat like a normal bird would, the other being Hypnocatrice and Malfestio. Well, I think that covers everything I have to say about Qurupeco. Well, that's not entirely true. I still need to talk about its subspecies, the Crimson Qurupeco. Much like Qurupeco, the Crimson Qurupeco is one hell of a creative monster. However, where the Qurupeco focuses more on summoning stronger monsters, the Crimson Qurupeco can defend itself much better, although it is still able to summon some strong monsters. In fact, the monsters that it can summon are even more of a threat than the ones that the Qurupeco can summon, being Raggies, Ludroths, Bullfangos, a Great Raggi, an Azoros, a Purple Ludroth, a Duramboros, a Deviljho, a Zorathalos, a Pink Raytheon, both a green and regular Nargacuga, and apparently a Stygian Zinogre. Also, instead of using fire like the Qurupeco does, the Crimson Qurupeco uses Thunder Blight and is able to flash stun players. So out of the two, Crimson Qurupeco is definitely the superior monster. And I also like its coloration much better than Qurupeco's. So, this whole video is a lie. The Qurupeco isn't the most creative monster in Monster Hunter. The Crimson Qurupeco is the most creative monster in Monster Hunter. All jokes aside, both of these monsters are truly innovating to the Monster Hunter series because they both do things that no other monster has ever done, and both stand out as some of the most bizarre monsters in the series. These were some of the first monsters in the Monster Hunter series to have really creative gimmicks that could have very well had a hand in some of the insane gimmicks that some of the other monsters in future generations would have. And that is why I love the Qurupeco so much. So, do you agree or disagree with the Crimson Qurupeco and Qurupeco being the most creative monsters in Monster Hunter? If you do agree, then let me know in the comments why, and if you disagree, then also let me know in the comments why, and what monster you think is more creative. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, then a like would be very appreciated, and if you want to see more content like this, then you should consider subscribing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Ryan Kelly, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.